My name is Gergana, and I am the CEO of Behavior Smart. We will share a little bit about the company in just a second and about myself and Milena as the two co-founders. We will talk about the power of behavior change, where we are pioneers in using it for in the travel industry. Then we will share how we have translated the knowledge of behavioral science into a digital solution, which enables both individual businesses but also entire destinations to advance in sustainability, as well as also offering higher quality of an experience. And then we will have time for questions and answers. Uh, with this, I would like to give you a little bit of information about myself. As I mentioned, I'm one of the co-founders of Behavior Smart. I graduated George Washington University's business school, and my focus has been on sustainable destination management. And this is how Simon and I know each other, and also Milena. She will share this in a little bit. Um, my experience in the travel industry has been from the hospitality industry, but also the last 10 years I've really worked very closely with the travel businesses. And I was part of the Adventure Travel Trade Association, leading the work in Europe and Central Asia. And my role was to understand what are the biggest assets and opportunities for the businesses, and actually work with the destinations, with the decision makers, to bring the type of travelers that will benefit from the experiences offered by the small and medium-sized businesses. Um, my entire career, I have focused on sustainability and sustainable activities. So I hope that also now, through the power of behavior change, we will make this even easier and effortless, and also affordable, as we know that sustainability is also can be quite complicated. With this, I would like to pass it to Milena to introduce herself and also to share about the company. Milena?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hello from me. So as Gergana mentioned, I'm the second person behind Behavior Smart. My background and passion are in applying knowledge about human psychology, human behavior, in the context of making travel more impactful and also more sustainable. I entered this space of crossing human psychology and travel sustainability about 20 or so years back when I started my doctoral studies at GW, as it became apparent. At the time, I did research on how what we know about human emotions and memory creation and inspiration can help us design more memorable travel experiences. After completing my doctoral studies, my PhD, I spent about 10 more years in academia, but also in the field working with government and authorities in helping them strengthen the competitiveness, but also the sustainability of their tourism economies. And one of the things that I kept seeing in my practice is that the approaches that the industry was taking with sustainability contradicted the principles of human behavior and behavior change as I already knew it. So this gap was actually at the core of why we started Behavior Smart in the first place, with the desire to bring to life knowledge about behavior change and human behavior to support travel companies and travel businesses in bettering what they do.
Thank you. And with this, I'll start with some questions. Why should we care about human behavior in travel? If you can elaborate more on this.
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, and this was the focus of my initial interest in this space, um, the magic of travel has so much to do about how people interact with each other and also with places. This is the spark that's at the core of creating memories, creating experiences that matter to people and that represent the reason why they travel. But there's also something that's really interesting about understanding human psychology and using it in the context of travel, and that's what relates to our desire to continue growing the economic power and potential of tourism as an economic sector, but also doing it in a way that's less damaging to places and nature and communities. And what we know about human behavior explains this interesting gap that we have started discussing in the industry lately. And that's the gap between what people say and their expressed desire to be responsible as travelers and to travel in a way that's not damaging, but at the same time, not really taking action. So we call that the say-do gap or the intention-action gap. And what psychology does is really help us explain why this gap exists and what is it that makes people say that they want to be responsible, but actually prevents them from acting on that. And one of the things that behavioral science tells us is the fact that people make different kinds of decisions. Actually, the patterns that they use for decision making are different. There's some decisions that are channeled by our quick decision making system, which likes shortcuts. It likes convenience. So this is the system that would prompt us to reach out and grab the easiest solution, the easiest option that's available around us. And that's different from our slower thinking, slower decision-making system, which is the one through which we usually channel more complex decisions, which takes its time and compares the options and so on. And the reality is that many of the decisions that travelers make during their holidays that end up producing undesired effects or fail at producing desired effects actually are channeled through that quick decision-making system. So how we design choice situations ends up being very important, both for the profitability of our industry, but also for the sustainability and footprint that it creates.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this. And what should a destination leader know about traveler psychology?
So in our work, we use a term, human realism. And what it relates to is really being very, very realistic about what and how much travelers care about. And part of being realistic, human realistic or traveler realistic, if you will, is understanding that the main fuel behind the behavior of travelers is their desire to travel and have an experience, have an experience that they take home and share with their friends, have an experience that they brag about in front of their neighbors and so on. So that's the reality. So even if we're dealing with people who are generally responsible as consumers, they make an effort to, let's say, recycle at home or buy local or not minimize waste creation, the moment that they set foot on a plane or train or car to get on their holiday, they deviate from this discipline. So we need to understand as destination professionals and as businesses that travelers put priority on their experience and not on being responsible. So in that sense, the answer or the solution that again would be informed from by behavioral science would be to use choice design and to be mindful in the way that we present sustainable options so that we can increase or maximize the likelihood that they will get picked. Because remember, we said that one of the things that we need to recognize is that many decisions that travelers make are quick decisions. If we recognize that and we present the options in a way that's friendly to that quick decision-making system, that makes it very easy for that system to reach out and pick the desired sustainable option, then we increase the likelihood that our industry will continue being profitable, but also be sustainable by design.
And I mean, the questions that I'm asking is I'm actually translating what we usually or summarizing what we hear from our meetings with destination professionals or tour operators. And actually pretty much of what you mentioned also is relevant for the individual businesses who have that. I mean, travelers have the touch point with the individual businesses. So whether we're speaking on a destination level or individual business, all this applies. Another question that oftentimes we're asked is how a destination can influence choice points, and probably it would be useful, Milena, as you talk, not only to speak about the destination, but also for the businesses.
Absolutely. So first, let me explain what are choice points. These are the points when a traveler makes a decision that then influences how they're going to consume the travel experience, but also what footprint they will leave, how much they will spend, whether they'll spend it with local businesses, how much waste they're going to produce, and so much, and so on. So every time when a traveler is making a decision, this is a choice point at which we have an opportunity to influence the choice. Now, we're not going to go into the theory behind the different nature of decisions and how we use different tools to influence them, but it really gives you a sense of the approach that we extract from behavioral science. Some of the decision points are within control, as you said, are within the control of a destination authority, simply because it communicates or uses promotional content to reach to travelers before they even consider visiting, or after they have decided to visit, but before they have started their journey. And then once they're on the ground, of course, it's the companies and the service providers that have these touch points. So for example, a very typical example of influencing touch point that we work on with destinations is to use content before communications content before the traveler reaches the destination when they're planning their visit, to increase the likelihood that they will include in their itinerary less visited spots. And the way that we would do that is by helping the destination tweak descriptions and use more emotional framings in order to make these less visited attractions and spots appealing, so that the traveler opts for them, not because this is the right thing to do, because as we said, this is not the main driver, but actually because it feels like it's something that will really enrich their experience and will give them an opportunity to engage in an exciting way with the destination. So making less visited spots feel attractive and making them easy to choose is one way in which we can influence decision. And this is an example of how we work with choice points. Then let's say when we are on the ground, making it very easy for guests to opt for tap water when tap water is available, rather than go for bottled water, and respectively to minimize the generation of unnecessary plastic waste. This is something that could be in the control of a hotel or accommodation property, of an attraction, of a restaurant. So again, an example of how presenting tap water as the norm, and making it very easy for people to understand that tap water is drinkable, that it's free, it's widely available, can activate this desired behavior, and that's under the control of businesses. And then another one, which is very easy to relate to, is any time that a traveler chooses what to have for food and for drink is an example of choice point. And it's actually quite important because this is a great opportunity to increase the average spend, to increase the share of average spend that stays with local businesses, that is spent with local businesses, and therefore stays in the local economy and benefits everybody in the local economic ecosystem. So a good example of the types of influences that you can exert around these decisions is to make seasonal local dishes irresistible and top of mind. And again, there's a role for destinations because they can use their social media or other form of communication to make the travelers aware that, for example, it's pumpkin season. And so there's some traditional ways in which the destination prepares pumpkin. And so already before they even depart, these are in their top of mind awareness. And then when they get to the destination, restaurants and hotels can do their part in order to influence them at the moment when they're picking what they will have. So this is a great example of how everybody chips in with the influence that they can have on a choice.
Thank you, Milena. And this leads me to the next question on the role of the destination supply network and whether it is a destination or a network or association. I think that it's all relevant. And with this, if I can add a sub question, just a little clarification also. You spoke about the intention action gap and also how communicating and making it attractive makes it helps the traveler make the right choice for us as a business or a destination. But how is also this different from educating the traveler, which why the gap still exists, although there's a lot of effort in education?
Sure. So the main difference between using human realism and taking that more classical direct education approach is that we understand that travelers are not motivated by the desire to be responsible. They're motivated by the desire to have an experience. And we also know when there's tons of scientific proof about that people perceive sustainability as something that is complicated and overwhelming. In fact, in some societies, we're talking about climate anxiety. And so even if in daily life, they try to be responsible, they try to be mindful of these things, when they are on holiday in leisure mode, they intentionally reject thinking about these things and these topics because they feel they're in direct conflict with the state of being in leisure, which means that even if we make an effort and do a fantastic job at putting in front of their eyes information about how they can be responsible, they intentionally reject it And so in that sense, even if we have presented it in a very effective way, and made and have been successful in making sure that they see it, they would just ignore it and suppress the information, that information. So that's why making it easy and making it appealing for people to go for the responsible option is the psychology smart or the behavior smart way of doing it. And this is why I gave the example with water, making it very easy for people to understand and to go for tap water is a good strategy or a good tactic. When it comes to food, going through pleasure, activating our pleasure-driven part of the brain through a nice, emotional, engaging description of local seasonal foods is a good way of ensuring that people will opt for that, rather than presenting this as the right thing to do. So going back to the idea about engaging local supply network or working with supply partners, the reality is that when we use these individual tactics or influences at choice points, which I gave as examples earlier, we are changing individual decisions. That's the reality. But if we really want to make a difference at a destination level or an ecosystem level, let's say that we're talking about a cluster of businesses or a chain of companies that belong to the same group, or companies that are within one destination, to achieve an effect that's changes how people behave on an ecosystem level, then we need to exert many of these choice design techniques at different spots, so that the destination activates top of mind awareness for what is currently in season. Then the hotel presents that at the buffet and highlights the seasonal local items. Then the restaurant has an insert with a local and seasonal foods, and all of them cumulatively tweak and change the behavior of the visitors, so that overall it's steered towards consuming locally and spending more locally during their entire stay. So in that sense, having these multiple influences at the multiple choice points is almost like turning the supply network into a riverbed, where the desired behavior flows just like a river naturally. And mind you, the important point here is that it's very often effortless, because we don't require that the traveler mindfully thinks about responsibility and actually commits to responsibility.
Awesome. Thank you. So there's a lot of power in the hands of us as travel professionals.
Yes, absolutely.